Jamie Langlois, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Glad to be here.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited to kind of pick your brain and just chat with you more about your experience and what you do for people in the community. So your business, Body and Bliss, how long have you had this business now?
So it's going on a year and a half officially. So I went on my own officially January 2022.
Cool. And how's it been going?
Awesome. It's been great. Business has been wonderful. This community is awesome. Palm Harbor has just totally embraced me. The women that I've had the opportunity to work with have been amazing. And I've worked with many of their friends and colleagues and family members. So organically, it's just grown so great.
Cool.
This is an awesome, awesome community. Lots of up and downs, right? Like naturally so.
For sure.
But no, it's been good.
And so what do you do at Body and Bliss? Like talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So Body and Bliss is a life and wellness coaching company. So I am a certified nutrition coach, also a life and wellness coach, a personal trainer, registered yoga teacher. And I also have a concentration in applied neuroscience. So I focus on really healthy living. Right. Most people come to me for nutrition guidance. I host nutrition challenges, health challenges regularly throughout the year, but it's way bigger than that because we also focus on the habits and behaviors that are conducive with healthy living, like movement, stress reduction, positive self-talk, mindset, and really kind of bringing all of the disciplines that I have been focusing on for the past decade and putting them all in kind of one program.
Okay, cool. So how did you get into this business, prior to like starting your own?
Yeah. So prior to going out on my own, I was working for one of the top dietitians in the country, Dr. Ashley Lucas. I received an apprenticeship beneath her. So I was there with her for 4 years. I was her lead nutritionist for her nationwide program. So
is this something you always wanted to do? Like be a nutritionist?
Yeah, in a weird way, yes. So in my early 20s, when I was graduating, I was really interested in nutrition. I was reading all the books and I had this moment where I was going to go back to school for dietetics and get my RD, but I was about to graduate, right? And I was just like so eager to get out and to make the money and do all that. And I just went with journalism and PR instead, which has helped me a lot too, of course. But it's always been there. I've always, just self-researched and read and all that. And then when I got sober, back in 2011, health really became a major focal point in my life naturally because I was just feeling really good and I wanted to learn all the things. So that's when I started to go back to school and get all these certifications. And then I stumbled upon Dr. Lucas, and it was just the best education I could have ever asked for.
So so 2011, like that's when you got into nutrition,
right?
And working under Dr. Lucas,
right? Well, not with Dr. Lucas, no. So I didn't start working with Dr. Lucas until 2018.
Okay.
But prior to that, it just was a series of events, right? Like unfolding. Like as I got sober and I started to feel better physically, mentally, spiritually, all that, I started to just study more and learn more about health. And so I was reading all the books and going back to school and, getting my personal trainer certification, becoming a yoga teacher. And then I joined a CrossFit gym and went through a certification to be a nutrition coach for them. And so it was like a series of things that led me to kind of, I would say, the big education moment, which was learning and being trained by Dr. Ashley Lucas back in 2018.
Cool.
Yeah.
Isn't it? I think it's kind of funny. I think in my mind, I think we all like grew in our childhood, like we always have like this one thing that we want to do or a calling or whatever it is. And if sometimes we find it, sometimes, you stick with it, like, exactly what that is. And you just stay that path, like your entire career. And sometimes like you circle back to it and that sort of stuff. For me, it was business. Like I always wanted to be a business owner. I just remember that thought. I never knew like what type of business or anything like that, but just being a business owner. And for you, it was nutrition. And then you circle back to it like in your recovery and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, super cool. And I giggle and I chuckled when you said that because I actually, what I always wanted to do was be an American Gladiator.
Nice.
And I just wish my brother could hear this right now because he would be like, yes, she did. She would dress in spandex and do cartwheels on the front lawn, thinking that I was Storm or whatever her name was, you know? So nutrition, health, fitness, just embodying that was always a huge interest of mine and just something that I was drawn to very, very early on.
Yeah. That's very cool. So, so with your, like you said, you focus a lot of your clients are with nutrition. What does that process look like? Like if someone comes to you and say, you know, hey, I need help with my diet. Or whatever.
Yeah. So there's a couple different routes to go. I do private coaching as well, but I do these online nutrition programs. They vary in length. I've got a 4-week one. I've got a 6-week one. I always have a consultation with the person just to see what would be the best fit for them. Some people need more accountability, like that one-on-one setting, which I can offer. I got limited time though, you know, or I have limited time. So, you know, I can only take so many. So that's why the group challenges are wonderful. And yeah, and then we just get them all set up and we run those like every 6 weeks throughout the year.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So let's circle back to wellness.
Yes.
Like, how do you define wellness and like what does it mean to you?
That's a really good question. So I would say wellness for me is kind of synonymous with alignment. And I know that that's a word that's like a buzzword now, but it's really being my very best in all areas, like spiritually, physically, mentally, socially, financially. I mean, there are so many spokes to the wellness wheel. I obviously don't like dabble in those certain areas. But what I have found is that when you begin to straighten out one, the others start to align as well. So a lot of people come to me with, let's, you know, focus on nutrition. Let's focus on the physical. And when we do that, naturally what happens are other areas of wellness kind of start to pop up, right? Like something mentally or spiritually, like a block or something that needs to be healed. And that's only discovered once they start to work on the other stuff. So for me, it all goes together. It really has so many different spokes and it's all about balance. And it's just about finding that balance, you know, in all areas of your life. And it's so different for everyone.
Yeah.
You know, for me right now, I would say balance is kind of like the word that comes to my mind, as well as alignment when I think of wellness in my own particular life, because I'm so extreme as a recovering addict. You know, I just can go all in with everything. And then other areas of my life, those other, you know, spokes get off balance, right? Yeah. So relationships, if I'm focusing too hard on business, or if I'm focusing too much on my health and wellness, then maybe I'm neglecting another area. So it's really about kind of balancing all of those areas at one time, finding what works for you, you know?
How do you go about doing that? Like,
a lot of accountability. You know, I have an awesome circle. So I've got, you know, numerous coaches that I work with, that I connect with. Dr. Ashley Lucas, my mentor, I still connect with regularly. I still do work with her too, and with her business. And it's just having those people in your life that can just like call you out and say, you know what, this is a little bit off balance. I see you. I commend you for all the great work, but what about this area? You know? And it's, I don't know if it's all ever perfectly balanced either,
no,
you know?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Like you're always like working towards that.
Right. Yeah. So I think as you're working toward that too, just finding some peace and grace and just humanness, right? And like just being okay with that, like being a little bit wobbly as we go through all that. And that's really what I try to teach my clients, the people inside the challenge, is that you're never going to do this perfect. You know, 1% progress adds up. At the end of the year, that's 365% better, you know?
Right. Yeah.
But how we get there and the manner in which we get there, like whether we're doing that in self-love or self-hatred or whatever, like that's what matters, you know? So even as we try to navigate the balance, like how can you be okay with not being balanced?
Yeah. Which might be like the hardest part of that all.
It is.
Right?
It is. I know. It's hard. It's
Why
hard.
is it so hard?
I don't know. Why is life so hard? But it is, but it's also so beautiful. And what I've learned so much is like not to focus on the outcome so much, but more just like the process and the habits and the behaviors, because the outcome will come and then guess what? You'll lose it again.
Yeah.
Right?
I think like when you say process, I think of like Gary Vee. I watch a lot of his content and stuff. And like he talked about the process for a while. Like enjoy the process. And, like just beat that into your head until it's like, that's all you focus on. Right.
Yep.
Don't even worry about the outcome, your goal or whatever. You can set goals and track them and stuff, but day to day, like you're just like, what does it take to get me one step closer, 1% better, like you said?
100%, because it is about the process. If you have the formula put in place, that formula will produce a certain result. It will come, right? But what happens, what I've seen, especially in health and wellness, is that we have different seasons. And the outcome, the result looks different. You know, postpartum, it looks different. Premenopause, it looks different. You know, as we age, you know, things just change metabolically, hormonally. And so the outcome is different, even though you're doing the same formula.
Yeah.
So if you attach to the formula, you're going to have a great life. You're going to be healthy. It may not look the same as when you were 20, but nor should it.
Right.
You know, so making peace with that too, which is a really big component.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned like your circle. Like, you know, you have a great circle around you. I think that's a big part of that wellness too.
Right.
Right. Like having those people around you that are lifting you up and, you know, sending you positive energy, whatever it is. How do you, like, what are your tips on or thoughts on finding those people? And then, you know, like, how do you know when you found the right person?
That's a really good question, because I just moved here. So I'm kind of in this process right now. You know, one of the best tips is to do what you love, right? So whether that's go to the gym, go to yoga, go walk the causeway, go to the beach, do you. Like, just participate in your life and what really fills you up and energizes you. And then you'll start to meet people around you that are doing the same. You know, get involved in networking groups. When people reach out a hand or ask you to do something, say yes. You know, like that's a really big one for me, because as we were talking before the show, I'm an introvert by nature and nobody would ever know that. But it takes a lot for me to accept an invitation to go have coffee, to go on these friend dates, you know? But it's so important. That's how you meet people, and you never know where that connection's going to lead. So it's like, when the universe extends a hand to you, take it.
Yeah.
You know, say yes. Like, I'm a big believer in saying yes and just being mindful of the little nudges along the way. And then also, lastly, I would say, notice how you feel when you're around people, right? So does that person leave you feeling drained or lifted?
Yeah.
You know, I think that's really important to check in.
And even as an introvert, like, even though like that's like draining you, like that person could still like give you energy.
Right. Or it could just feel good.
Yeah,
right. Is my heart like open and wide, or do I feel like cringy?
Yeah.
Like, like I'm going to run away. Never call this person again.
Yeah.
I think that's important, you know? And I've actually had to ask, you know, for connections, like, you know, whatever your modality for asking or petitioning is, whether it's calling in, you know, or praying or whatever. But I've had to do that kind of work because I want community, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a big part of it, and especially as a business owner, you know, like we all need that community and stuff around us. So like exercise.
Yes.
How does that benefit like the body, the mind, like all of it, right? Whether in exercise, like whatever it is for that particular person, right? It could be walking, running,
right? Yeah,
lifting.
So exercise is interesting because
is it necessary?
That's a great question. Yes. Now, let me say this. So exercise is an amazing wellness tool. It's not necessarily a weight loss tool. So the weight loss tool is nutrition, 100%, right? So they say like 80-20, right? I would say it's more like 80% wellness, 10% training or exercise, and then 10% like sleep, stress management, and all of that other stuff, right? That way your hormones can be balanced, because it is way more complicated than calorie in and calorie out.
Right,
it just is. It just really is. I've worked with thousands of people, and I've seen it firsthand. Exercise is, again, a wonderful wellness tool for the body, for the mind, as far as just increasing endorphins, the feel good neurochemicals that make us happy. It relieves stress. However, it can also precipitate stress if you're doing the wrong kind of exercise. So,
Like, doesn't align with like your body?
Yes. So I am a good example. So I'll just use me as an example. I love high intensity training. I have been doing CrossFit since basically it was a thing. However, I'm a very nervous Nilly. My nervous system, I tend to get pretty elevated pretty easily, my trauma response and all that. And so I have to be very careful with exercises or training modalities that trigger that stress response.
Okay.
So high intensity training or chronic cardio, like I'm also a runner. It's not necessarily good for me. Long distances, getting my heart rate way up because it keeps me in that kind of chronically stressed out state when I'm already kind of chronically stressed out because of the way my nervous system is.
Yeah.
So for me, it's more advantageous to do things like low impact cardio, walking, strength training 2 to 3 days a week, and also just like yoga. I can do high intensity training. I'm not saying don't do that, but it's not my go-to.
Yeah.
Right.
How do you know whether something is like whether exercise style is right for you or not? How did you figure that out? Or
I had major symptoms of adrenal fatigue. Some symptoms include insomnia. Also agitation. I wasn't recovering either. So I was just chronically sore. I wasn't sleeping, right? Because I had the insomnia. So my body wasn't able to recover.
Yeah.
Also poor performance. So I was not performing well in my workouts. I lost interest in my workouts. So it was almost like depression.
And just kind of being aware of like, what's going on.
Yeah, just wasn't feeling good. And the numbers on the scale were going in the opposite direction. So body fat was starting to accumulate. And that's a big sign too. Yeah.
Of stress. Okay.
And just overtrain and not recovering and just doing the wrong type of exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in order to find your exercise that works for your body, is it just sampling, trial and error?
Yeah. So I also went on to receive a certification through Mark Sisson. I don't know if you know of Mark Sisson, but he's the founder of Primal Kitchen, which is an amazing health food product line. But also he wrote the Primal Blueprint and Primal Endurance. And his methodology is what I teach to my clients. And he recommends just 2 to 5 hours of low impact cardio a week, 2 to 3 days of strength training, maybe a high intensity interval training session once a week or sprint training or something like that. And then just a lot of play, yoga, stuff like that. And so that's what I basically give people as kind of here is a general training guideline. And let's go from here.
Yeah.
And let's see how you do. And we can kind of play with maybe getting more high intensity training or doing not, doing no high intensity training. So that's what I do.
And now is that just kind of like maintaining like overall good health?
Yeah.
Or is that like if you have a goal of like, I want to, put on muscle or whatever, like that changes, right? Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
And then, if you're wanting to put on muscle too, then you're of course incorporating like good nutrition, right? With protein and maximizing protein synthesis in the morning. And, there's other kind of tips that you can do to do that. But I would say like, across the board, that's an amazing training guideline. And more information can be found at the Primal Blueprint. Like that is an awesome book for anybody just wanting to get started. There is a plug for Mark Sisson. I feel like I need to get like a pat on the back for that.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe a sponsorship or something.
That's right. But I'm not. I'm really not.
So let's talk about the business, right? So you're kind of new into this, a year and a half in. What led you to like starting it? I don't think we talked about that yet. Like starting it, saying like, I'm going to do this. And then what's been like one of your biggest challenges to date?
So what led me to starting this? So I always had this desire to work for myself. I had a lot of people who were asking for my help, like unofficially. So I was working for my prior boss and in my private role, but I would have people that would kind of email me, send me messages on, social media. Like, I really just want to work with you. I don't want to go back here, blah, blah, blah. And I couldn't take them on because it was, a conflict of interest. And so I was getting all of these like kind of signs like, wait a second, like maybe I've got something here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I am a really good coach. And I knew I was, but it was just affirmation, right?
Yeah.
And then I landed here in this area in late 2021. I got involved with the gym community and I started training as a fitness coach there. And I just got really connected with the community, and I launched a nutrition challenge there for them, and it was so awesome and so successful, and the results were amazing, and everybody was like, "When's the next one? When's the next one?" And then it just fell into my lap, and I was like, "Okay, I can do this. And if I don't do this, I'll always wonder why or wonder what if." And so I went for it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I think that it's funny how, talking to all the business owners, it's funny how we all get started in business, right? Because sometimes it's like that. You just kind of fall into it, and like there's an opportunity to serve the community.
Yeah.
Some people, it's like, I've always wanted to be a business owner, and I've dabbled in different entrepreneurial journeys.
Right.
And then some people, it's like, I got laid off from my job, and I got to do something, right? So let's start a job.
I never wanted to do this.
Yeah.
I never wanted to work for myself. I wanted the time freedom. I wanted, all of that. I wanted all, but I never was like, I'm going to work for myself, because I'm really like a number two man. I'm a really good number two person. Very awesome support, but I'm actually finding now that no, like I really have that kind of entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
Like very creative and just very like, all that. So
what's been a challenge for you then?
Oh, just the roller coaster ride, just the roller coaster ride, the up and the down, and imposter syndrome, and not really knowing what you're doing, like from a business perspective, I've had to really like learn all aspects of the business, like marketing, accounting, coaching, just all of it. And I'm wearing all the hats. Today, I'm so excited. I just hired my first assistant, which is awesome.
Nice. Congratulations.
And I just got a business partner too last week who is awesome. She's a really popular trainer in the area, and we're joining together to create an online fitness and nutrition program through my company. And that is so cool. So yeah, hopefully it's going to get much better, but just the ups and downs,
I think that that's one thing I realized is like talking to a lot of business owners, like before I kind of got my feet wet in real estate, is I always looked at business owners as like they had everything figured out.
Yeah.
We don't.
Yeah.
Right. It's just like that. And it's constantly like that. No matter how successful you are, you're still just trying to figure out the next phase of the business or learn and whatever it is, So it's, it's just enjoy the process.
And that is so comforting, right? That is so comforting to hear that you don't have it figured out.
Yeah.
And I know I was listening to this man, and he's owned his own business for 30 years. He's been wildly successful. He says, I still worry about making money every month.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, but a lot of trust. Recently, there's been more trust. And as a result, I think it's just been much more smooth, and it's been great. So
that's pretty cool. So when you're not training people or working out or whatever, what do you like to do? There's like one business you like to go visit, one park, whatever it is. Like, what are you doing in the area?
Okay, so
you're new to this area too.
Yes,
okay.
Yeah. So I absolutely love the Dunedin Causeway. I just love walking and being out there. I love downtown Dunedin. I just absolutely love that.
Yeah.
As far as Palm Harbor goes, I'm at Savage Yoga a lot. I love that yoga studio.
Yeah.
If you haven't been there, that community is amazing.
Yeah, very cool.
And downtown Palm Harbor is just so adorable.
Yeah.
If you haven't been to Earthscape's Green Room, I highly suggest going there.
I just took my daughter there the other day.
Isn't it gorgeous?
It's so cool.
I'm like, why does not everybody know about this?
Right.
This is such an oasis.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
They need to open up like a little coffee shop in the back, right? And just have like coffee on the grounds or something.
They're doing an awesome Mother's Day event tomorrow that I'm so excited to take my mom to. She has no idea that we're going, but we get to plan our own plan. It's just so all that kind of stuff. The farmers markets love live music. My boyfriend's a musician in the area, so we're always around listening to live music. We live in the best place.
Yeah,
we do.
There is so much to do.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Jamie, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
put your links and everything
Okay,
in the
cool.
description below for anybody that is wanting to contact you, reach out to you. So,
Very cool.
do you have any
Thank you.
challenges coming up in the next?
I do. Yeah, we just launched one. It's called the 4-week fat loss program. It's
Okay.
with my business partner, Danielle Morris, who is a certified fitness coach.
Okay.
It's 4 weeks, and we talk about the nutrition and the training that you need for optimal body composition. So it's very strategic, science-based. It's awesome. So yeah, all of that's on my website.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much for having me.